Okay, I'd like to call to order the October 28th, 2008 meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency, may call to order at 2:43 p.m. May we have a roll call?
Agency members: Raymond. Here. Quintero.
Here.
Yusefian.
Here.
Chairman Najarian. Vice Chair Weaver.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the October 28, 2008 regular meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency was posted on Thursday, October 23, 2008 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And next, please.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. will stand approved as submitted. Next, please.
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the redevelopment agency may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the executive director for an investigation and report.
We have one card. Herbert Milano.
Good afternoon, members of the redevelopment agency. My name is Herbert Milano, city staff. I'm coming back to make an inquiry concerning any progress that the city may have made in obtaining the financial results of the investments the city has made, specifically with regard to the Americana brand. I know that most of the sales information takes place or is summarized at the end of the quarter. Well, it's been over a month, and I figure that by now we should be able to have access to the outcome of those potential sales revenues that may be coming to the city, as well as the any property tax or property transfer taxes that may be due to the city by now. Every time I drive by the Americana, I take a look to see if I see any significant number of new condominiums or places that are rented, and I still don't see much activity there. But I read in the newspaper LA Weekly an interview with Mr. Caruso that he says he's doing perfectly fine. So apparently he won't be coming to you for perhaps another type of assistance. And according to that newspaper, it appears that Mr. Caruso might be running for mayor of the city of Los Angeles. But it does intrigue me to find out that basically what the effect has been, not only on the Americana's income, but with regard to the surrounding areas, to whether there is sustainability or maybe potential bankruptcies or more vacancies in the area surrounding the Americana, as we head into a more constrained economic output. On another topic with regard to redevelopment, it's been of a lot of interest to me what I'm able to excerpt from some of the meetings that occurred that are presented in a very cryptic way on the agenda with regard to the closed-door sessions of which the public is not privy to. And of concern, the last time I brought up, I came here, was my concern about the arrangements that are being made with the City Center 2 property and the other property on that is city-owned on Wilson and Maryland. As I recall, the City Center 2 was an arm's length transaction, meaning that there was no involvement with the city with regard to additional participation. But it appears to me that ever since we had that problem between Amiri and Kumar back in February of last year, that Kumar was pushed aside in order to make room for Amiri. At least that's what I'm able to interpret, and that was alluded to in the newspaper article that appeared around that time in the Glendale News Press. I'm figuring that, in order for us to extend the authority of the redevelopment area through more years by obtaining additional bonds or issuing additional bonds, that these type of participation agreements, whether they really give the city the type of benefits that it is accrued. Because I know that the additional residences that are built, the additional properties that are built, additional sales tax revenue that is generated, by far that all of those additional increments of money eventually wind up in salaries. So none of that really appears to be arriving at the benefit of the residents of Glendale. And my thinking is that as we looked at the availability of open space or the shrinking availability of open space, that we should do what many other cities have done in trying to make the type of investments surrounding this area to expand all of the availability for green open space, especially, as I want to remind you, the potential that we still have of salvaging as much green space out of the Glendale Central Park, especially as the bids come close for the ARC. So it is my suggestion that we look very hard at the opportunities that we have with regard to green space, and that hopefully we could use, more redevelopment funds to take advantage of that opportunity to create the green spaces, which, by the way, I think might be very useful in the case of a major, an earthquake or some type of assembly area needed to put residents in, even if it is on a temporary basis. I think that the need for open space has those two major benefits, allowing us, the communities, to come together and allowing open space in case of a major catastrophe. Thank you.
I have no more cards or communications closed. What is next, please?
Next, if there's any agency member or staff comments.
Comments? Mr. Yusefian?
Question from Mr. Starbird. When do you think those numbers for Americana is going to come? I see you were feverishly going through your future agenda reports.
Mr. Chair, members of the agency, we're anticipating on the 12th or 19th, and I want to point out it's a benefit report, not just a financial report, because although Mr. Milano believes all the numbers should be available, all the numbers are not available. A lot of new businesses of the Americana that frankly haven't been here before, they have to register with the Board of Equalization, returns have to get in. For example, property taxes are not remitted until the first payments are in December. Actually sometime following December, because as you know, you make your first payment on your property taxes the 1st of December. So things like property taxes, we don't know actually what they're going to be until we receive them in December. Hinderleiter de Lamas, who tracks sales tax revenues for 350 cities in the state of California, their most recent quarterly report indicated that you won't have a good sense of sales tax returns on your major users until you get the holiday season, which is the third quarter of the calendar year, second quarter of the fiscal year returns, which are really in January, February. But in spite of that, we're preparing a report that will give you as much as we know, looking at both economics as well as other more subjective benefits, and that we're targeting for the 12th or the 19th. I mean 12th or the 18th, because the 12th is a Wednesday.
And of course, it will reflect the state of the economy.
Well, that's
everybody.
Anecdotally, it's reflecting the state of the economy, but of course we have no way of knowing how much.
I'm just saying, if people stand up and say, "Oh my God, it's a failure," get real. This economy that we're in now, nobody is doing good.
Again, we'll provide you what we can provide you with, but a lot of numbers are not available.
Any other comments?
Yes, the other question is Colmar in a process of getting their entitlements for their new project on Central and Wilson?
Mr. Lazenfeld.
Mr. Chairman, members of the agency, yes, they are. They have a stage 1 design approval from you already. They are preparing their environmental reviews, and they're working through their plans, as well as the ground lease from the redevelopment agency, business terms in the ground lease.
So they are not pushed out of the city, they are actually working?
Not pushed out of the city. They are on a different site.
And the other question is the Panda Inn site, it's, my understanding, is no longer in play. It's back to the city hands.
It's probably a question that the city council should place on the agenda for discussion, rather than put staff on the spot and disclose information that occurred in closed session.
Okay, then I'd like to put that on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Lansford.
Thank you. If there's no more comments, what? Mr. Lazenfeld, you had a couple.
Speaking of the economy, I wanted to make 2 announcements. First, on November the 12th, the City of Glendale, along with several other agencies, will be sponsoring an exporting workshop, talk about accessing foreign markets. It is a wide group. We'll have experts on that. The conference or the program is for free. It will be from 8 o'clock to 11:30 at the Verdugo Job Center. Also, some good news at the marketplace. The two stores that will be taking the Tower Record Store are preparing to open. The Shoe Mega Shop by Marshalls will open this Thursday morning, and that will be followed by Home Goods on November the 14th. So 2 vacancies that we're filling. That is good news in this climate. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Mr. Lansfame, one is for you, the other relates to was prompted by Mr. Milano. Just want to make sure that we're following up with the, I don't know if you were here at the time, to hear the comment about the desire on the part of our various chambers and organizations that did the large mixer.
Yes.
They have some volunteer, how do I say this? Some restaurants and organizations have come forward to volunteer as a site for the next Small Business Summit Task Force. And I want to make sure some coordination is actually happening.
Yes, in fact, we had kind of tentatively pegged November the 3rd for the next meeting.
Right.
That's a really short time frame, and so
someone is talking to them?
We will be and looking at calendars so that we can get a good date, that we can coordinate that and bring those groups together.
All right, very good. Thank you. And then the other comment, Mr. Chair, and that's not from Slant. I was just wondering if there's any. Mr. Milano mentions the issue that Mr. Yusefian raised also, which was about the reports and issues of sales and progress reports and all of that with regard to Americana. Just so you know, everywhere I go, every organization I speak to, every organization that invites me to speak, this is the question I get asked. It doesn't matter whether it's the Elks Club or the Tea Society. It is the same question everybody wants to know. Some individuals want to know because they're tracking all this. Some just have a general curiosity about the fact that this is a major step for the city. So to the extent that we can get some information out, that would be helpful. And then lastly, I just want to know whether there's anything to the rumor, Mr. Milano, that you moved to Los Angeles just in time for Mr. Caruso's rumor that he's running for mayor of Los Angeles. You would be running his campaign. That's what we had heard. Okay, Mr. Chair, that was it for me.
Thank you. There's no further comments. What's next?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second to adjourn.
Second.
Please stand adjourned. 2:55.